Hello friends, this is Dr. Amarjeet Kaur, Professor of Accounting and Business Communication at the Department of Management, Gurugram University, Gurugram. This is my privilege that I am here with you to discuss on business etiquettes and professionalism. So we are going to talk about both the issues business etiquettes as well as professionalism. So friends, in your daily life, we generally use this word, she is very well etiquette, she has very good etiquettes, he has very good etiquettes, he is a true professional, she is a truly professional. So these are the very common words or statements which we get to hear in the society. So certainly it draws attention of everyone that what business etiquettes are, what is good professionalism. So we need to understand these two concepts very well. So we shall be discussing this in the coming few minutes. So what is etiquette? Etiquette is something which refers to behaving in a socially responsible way. Etiquette refers to the conduct to be observed in social or official life, and thus the etiquettes are rules of polite and correct behavior. So let's understand this now. So as we said, etiquettes are that how somebody behaves in a society. Now business is also part of society. Your home is also part of society. A mandir, gurdwara, a church is also part of society, right? So the point I am making is this, that how someone behaves, in a society, that determines either she or he is having good etiquettes or not. So it's a conduct or which is to be observed in the social and official life, the business life, the work life. So conduct means how do you carry yourself, right? So these are basically rules of being polite, rules of conducting yourself in a correct way. That's what the etiquettes are. So that's why we call it as behaving socially responsible, right? So now you would like to know what is socially responsible. Let's say if I am traveling in metro, you are also traveling in metro, and it is expected that you should not be watching video while traveling in the metro on a very high pitch. You can still watch it by using earpods, earphones, etc., etc. So that's what it means, that are you responsible socially? Are you concerned about the surroundings you have, right? So how do I behave socially? When I say socially, it means both personal life, business life, any political life, wherever we are referring to. So this is what etiquette means, the behavior or in a social life. Now, if I go further and talk about what is professionalism, it is also the conduct, aims or the qualities that mark a profession or a professional person. And the professionalism can be defined by who you are, what you do, and how others perceive you. So if I explain it, basically, it's all about that how are you being perceived by others, right? It's all about the creating perception in the mind of others. How would you create a perception? Your perception is created, about you by how do you behave. And how would you behave will depend upon who you are from the inside. If you are a self-reliant person, if you are a confident person, if you are a sincere person, a truthful person, these are the traits which will decide your behavior and which in result will affect your image in the society, right? So what kind of image you are projecting socially at workplace, that's what a professionalism is. So the professionalism is to conduct or aims or qualifies, the qualities that one person has that marks to a profession. For example, whenever in a court a lawyer is presenting a case, defending a case for his or her client, he or she is supposed to be in the lawyer's dress. Then to begin with, he or she need to seek the permission of the judge who is actually on the chair. So this is a professional trait that one need to have. So this is what the professionalism is, right? So a doctor, for example, is a professional. He or she needs to be careful what he or she says about the patient to the relatives waiting outside outside an operation theater. He or she is not supposed to be very much blunt. You will never have had an experience where doctor comes out, clearly tell you your father, your mother, your relative is in a danger condition or is have only these many hours or minutes in hand. Generally they will tell you that we are trying to safeguard the patient, right? Anybody, you would have experience. So they are not expected to create a hype about the situation. They are expected to be very calm, composed, and then communicate in reality whatever the situation is, but they are supposed to behave professionally, right? So you take any profession, a teacher as for example is supposed to be well groomed when he or she has been entering. He or she is supposed to be well prepared for the lecture, well versed with what is happening in the class, need to take the attendance or mark attendance of students. These are few things which are expected from a teacher. So that's what we are saying, that conduct one person, one professional need to carry. Okay, that's what the professionalism is. So it's been defined by what you are, what inner character you have, that will ensure the behavior you are exhibiting. And then finally you create a message, an image in the mind of people who are dealing with you. Then we have next thing in professionalism is a set of internalized characteristics or character traits, strengths and values directed towards high quality service to others through your work. And in the day-to-day professional life, professionals, they show these inner strengths and attitude towards many ways. So what is professionalism? If I go further to define it, to discuss it, it's a set of values or the character traits one person internalized. So internal things are there, right? And how do you embrace them, internalize them? The strengths, the values, so which is actually directed towards the high quality service to the others through your work. So you are trying to provide good quality service through your work, of course, but either you are going to provide high quality service or poor quality service will depend upon your character traits. What do you have internalized about that profession? If you think I'm a teacher, I'm supposed to be well versed, update my knowledge, update myself about what is happening, you will read, you will study yourself before going to class, right? So this is kind of internalized trait one is expected to have. But it's not that, I'm not claiming that everybody goes to the class well prepared, or every doctor is supposed to update his or her knowledge with the latest trends in the industry, be whichever area he or she specialize. There is research happening every day, be it cardio, be it derma, be it any area of medical science. So one need to internalize those character traits, the character you are playing as a doctor, as a teacher, as a lawyer, you as a chartered accountant, right? As a chartered accountant, you are not supposed to share the financial detail of somebody to the outsider. As a doctor, you are not supposed to be sharing the personal details of the problem one person has has visited you for. You're supposed to keep the privacy. So these are the character traits one need to internalize to live up to the profession he or she is carrying. That's what professionalism is, right? So in day-to-day life, a professional life, professional, they need to show these strengths, this kind of attitude, whatever is expected from them. So in many ways, by their conduct, by their words, by their facial expressions, by their responses, so that's what a professional person is supposed to do and is known as professionalism. So living up to the character traits we are talking. Then coming back to etiquettes, there are two types of etiquettes. Number one, general business etiquettes, and number two, culture specific business etiquettes. We will talk about them one by one. I am going to take up the first one, general business etiquettes, and thereafter the last we will talk about the culture specific business etiquettes. So what are general business etiquettes? So general business etiquettes are the set of expected behavior from an individual within the society, group or class, irrespective of the culture or the company or country. And examples could be dressing, grooming, introducing, networking, meeting, greeting, etc., etc. Right? These all are governed by a specific culture. So general business etiquettes, as I said, is an expected behavior. So what does it mean? In a business setup, generally we are supposed to be dressed up according to the occasion. We are supposed to be grooming ourselves well. We are supposed to follow certain rules for introduction, for networking during the networking sessions. We need to follow certain etiquettes during a meeting or or while communicating within the company or outside. Even we need to follow certain etiquettes about dining during the work hours, right? So all these are governed by certain country specific culture, or sometime we may have common culture even if the companies are across countries, because a company could be a multinational company, right? So ultimately we are talking about the business etiquettes, which means the expected behavior from the individuals who are working for a business, right? How they are supposed to conduct themselves within the society, within the groups they interact, within the class of people they meet, irrespective of the culture of the country, right? So we are going to talk about the business specific etiquette. That's what it means. So I'm going to talk about different etiquettes pertaining to business setup. The first one here is meeting etiquettes. Second one is greeting etiquettes. Third and fourth are introduction etiquettes and gifting etiquettes. Fifth and sixth are workplace and desktop etiquettes. And sixth is dressing and grooming etiquettes. We have few more. So let's discuss these six first one by one. The first one is meeting etiquettes. Just imagine you are going to attend a meeting. What are you expected to do? Just think about it. I'm giving you just a minute to think. Of course, if I am going to attend a meeting, I am supposed to carry a notebook, a pen, a laptop, something to note down the minutes of the meeting or important point after the discussion, isn't it? So the meeting etiquette requires, number one, to reach on time. We Indians say, if I am dot at time, I am well on time. But the Western culture says if you are 5 minutes to the meeting or 5 minutes advanced to the meeting, you are actually 10 minutes late, right? So they expect you to reach by 15 minutes in advance. So every company would have its culture. There could be a company where people are reaching dot at time. There could be a company where people are reaching 15 minutes in advance, as the Western culture says, or 5 minutes in advance. But irrespective, don't get late for the meeting, and then certainly greet everyone when you reach. I will talk about the greeting etiquettes, of course, and say hello. If you are organizer, be welcoming to the people in the meeting, right? So in the meeting, you have to have how to welcome, good morning, good afternoon, by greeting, welcome to the meeting. So, and then make sure if you are attending the meeting, you are carrying the notebook, you are carrying the pen, you are carrying laptop to note down, If you are supposed to present, you should have a presentation ready. It's not that you are changing the values, figures, data in front of everybody during the meeting. This is not what is expected. So meeting etiquette requires you to reach on time, present only, and stick to the agenda only. Don't talk extra. Don't really refer to so many extra additional things. Stick to the agenda if the agenda was shared to you in advance, and then certainly take a note of all the proceeding whichever is happening, and be respectful during the meetings. Do not raise your voice during the meeting. Be respectful. Do not use fingers. He is saying so, she is saying so. This raising finger or fingering somebody is really against the meeting etiquettes. We should always be sitting like in a comfortable position like this, and then listening to or responding to. We have seen people playing with pen, playing with whatever they have in their hand during the meeting hours. That's not one is expected to conduct oneself, right? So these are very few basic meeting etiquettes required from anyone working in a business. Then how do you greet? The greeting etiquettes generally vary from business to business. There are certain companies, and especially nowadays the multinational company, they simply say hi, hello. But there are companies, there are businesses where still we use formal greeting way, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, etc. Right? There could be a business where the culture is to shake hand. There could be a business where the culture is just to greet it, or in Indian company it could be simply the namaste, right? How do you greet will certainly depend upon the culture of the company where you are working at. But in any condition, do not miss to greet, right? Either you are attending or you are an organizer of the meeting. You're supposed to be greeting. The whichever way, that will depend upon because it could be country specific, it could be company specific even, right? The greeting etiquette. But it certainly requires, the basic etiquette is to greet for sure, and then it can be changed basis on it can be some variation can be brought in basis on the culture of the company, culture of the country. So there could be a possibility that you are working in a country where handshake is not allowed, especially a man to women handshake is not allowed, is not expected, right? So you have to follow the greeting etiquettes of that particular company. Then how do you introduce is known as introduction etiquettes. If you are new to the meeting, you are there for the first time. So if you are meeting somebody, otherwise other than a meeting, if you are presenting something, if you are meeting some outside client, if you are visiting a government official office, if you are visiting some other partners company, wherever, you need to know how to introduce yourself, right? Generally, it is expected that juniors are being introduced to the senior. It is just a practice, it has been a practice for a couple of years now, but I have been observing a slight change in this. Now it's not that, juniors are being introduced to the senior. A senior may just walk in and will say, hi guys, I am XYZ. So the things are changing. But if you are really working in a typical environment, the old culture, which we say, then if you are a junior, you are supposed to be introduced to the senior by someone in the middle or your immediate boss. And if you are a female, you are supposed to be introduced to the males. So this is a kind of practice in the past, and to some extent it does exist in many countries and many companies in India as well. But nevertheless, things are changing. You need to know exactly what kind of introduction is expected at the company you are working at or you are joining at, right? We need to know the culture of the company, how the people are introduced, who introduces to whom, right? So that's another thing to be taken care. But when you are introduced or you are going to introduce yourself, you should have, hi, good afternoon, hello, I am this. I've seen people saying myself this, which is technically incorrect, grammatically incorrect. We should be saying I am Dr. Amarjeet Kaur. I work with Gurugram University as Professor of Accounting, Dean of Faculty of Commerce and Management. So this myself is wrong. It's an incorrect English, please. So please, just a small comment about that. I'm not teaching English though. So this was about introduction etiquettes. Then the gifting etiquettes. There are companies where, especially in India, if you see during the Diwali, we see that companies are gifting to their employees Diwali gifts. In US, I have observed while working there, employees or people are actually extending thank you note during Thanksgiving. They also gift during that Thanksgiving period. So we have to be sure about, we have to follow certain etiquettes while gifting. We should not be gifting anything unwrapped or properly packed. We should not be gifting anything with the price tag on. This is actually required in personal life as well, right? Though I'm talking with respect to business, generally it is expected that if it is a gift from one company to the another, or to the outsider, to the client, to other companies, then to put the visiting card, the business card of the person who is actually gifting, and never have the price tag on the gift. It should be properly packed with some good note. It's always nice to have a small note thanking, wishes, like that. Diwali wishes, thank you note. Why are you thanking somebody? Why are you gifting somebody? With 1-2 personalized lines, personalized statement really makes a gift, gift a gift. Yeah. So these are the gifting etiquettes. Then the fifth point, as I said, is the desktop etiquette. This is very important. Workplace or desktop or desk etiquettes. Nowadays, we are seeing the cubicle culture. Most of the workplaces have cubicles for different employees, especially at the junior level, mid-level. So people are sitting one after another, just close by. We have to be careful. We should not peeping into the other's desk at all. If you are leaving your desk, make sure your screen is switched off, your mobile is switched off or on silent mode. If you are leaving your mobile on the desk and going to washroom, canteen, cafeteria, wherever, make sure you do not watch any video or do not play any audio at your desktop, because you have people sitting next to you working for something, right? So make sure you are not loud while you are on phone. If you have to meet some guest, better you meet in a common area. Do not invite people at your desk, especially the outsiders. That's how the good companies have visiting offices or visitors offices. There, the executive or the official, whomsoever you have gone to meet for, he or she will come to that visiting area, because in the common area people are sitting very close by. A desk is just next to the other person. So to avoid that disturbance to others, generally it is recommended to see your guest in the visiting lounges, visiting areas, and don't be loud. Don't leave your mobile in a noise mode, in a ringing mode. Do not let the computer or laptop screen be on all the time if you are not there, and do not peep onto the other's desk as well, right? These are the very basic etiquettes required for a workplace, which we call as desktop or workplace etiquettes. Dressing and grooming etiquettes are very important. Your first day, you can imagine how do you present yourself. So dressing and grooming, your hair should be well tied up, you should be well groomed, your teeth should be brushed, you should be in formals or semi-formals depending on what kind of culture you have at the workplace. Nowadays the companies, startups, they have culture of coming into shorts. Believe me or not, they work in casuals, they work in shorts, but they work day and night, right? But most of the companies would have a formal dressing and a grooming etiquette, especially if you're working in hospitality industry, dressing and grooming becomes very important, right? How do you dress? Generally, for Indian women, we have saris, Indian suits, business suits, collared shirts for men, and business suits, ties recommended for formal meetings. So we should not be wearing tees with the V-neck t-shirts. It is recommended generally not to wear without sleeves, etc. for the meetings at the workplace. Now moving to the next few points, 7 and 8, gender related etiquettes, communication etiquettes. Then we have dining and wining etiquettes, email etiquettes, and lastly we have networking etiquettes and visiting card etiquettes. We are going to discuss one by one all these etiquettes. Gender related etiquettes. Generally it is expected, though we talk about equality and many such social issues, at the same hand, I would like to talk that we have to have etiquettes about, when you are in a meeting, when you are walking, maintain a reasonable distance from the other gender. Be respectful to the other gender. Nowadays we have all the three genders working. We have transgender also working at the workplace. So we have to be respectful, irrespective of what kind of gender you are, which gender are you interacting with. We need to maintain our reasonable social distance from the other gender at the workplace and be respectful to the other person. We cannot be holding hand, going and patting on the other gender in the office. That is not expected. So we have to be very, very careful while dealing with other genders. Then the communication etiquettes are also very important. Communication within the company, outside the company, you have to be very, very careful. You need to be formal in your communication. This is required as a communication etiquette. You need to send the complete communication. You need to send only to the concerned person. If you are sending, if you are recipient, do acknowledge the communication, right? Dining and wining etiquettes requires, then if you are dining somewhere at the workplace, you have to be careful. You are not that loud. You do not, take alcohol at workplace. If you are wining, then if it is allowed, then you just take it for the social, socializing purpose only. You do not drink much. Then we have the email etiquettes. We have to be careful. We should not be putting people in BCC. We should be very careful to whom are we putting in CC, carbon copy, right? We should be ensuring that we are attaching the attachment. If we are referring to some attachment, we should be using the most appropriate language, most appropriate technical language if you are a professional. We have to be careful addressing to the right person, responding on time. These are the email etiquettes basically required. And when you are networking with other people, make sure during the networking you are respectful to others. You should have your elevator pitch ready so that you do not eat up so much time talking about yourself. Don't talk about yourself all the time. So these are the networking, and give others to talk about themselves and be sure when you are presenting the visiting card, use both the hands. Do not use the left hand only. So these are the visiting card etiquette. You have all the details on the visiting card. You should have the complete details on the visiting card, including your contact, email, etc., etc. So these are the general business etiquettes. We will talk about culture specific etiquettes very soon. Thank you very much, friends. Thank you.